Under pressure now, Bergman. He taps it to himself, out in front. Putting pressure on for North Melbourne is Mackay, and good stuff by the young North Melbourne player, but eventually Bergman gets his kick, kicks it out of bounds on the full, so the free kick will be taken for North Melbourne out there by Kilpatrick.
What a shame, because that was such a great effort to keep that ball out of the north forward line, and his kick just going astray at the last minute.
Kick by Kilpatrick to full forward. Punch down from behind. Anning ducked the tackle, got it high, and will take the free kick. Christian Anning, just 17 years of age. And Watson and Anning served North pretty well around the packs, the two Rovers. Anning from just outside 50. Oh, great distance with that kick. It's close, a poster. Not a bad effort.
Great kick from 50 metres.
7-6 North, a doubled Melbourne score, 3-6.
Yeah, and Christian Anning kicked 4 goals in the second semi-final for North. He's kicked 42 for the season, so he's certainly used to putting him through the centre.
Kick in by Bergman. Here's Anning again, number 1. Inside 50, breaks Goldberg's tackle, goes for goal, but across the face. And another behind, 2 in a minute.
Well, North Melbourne always look very, very dangerous when they're in the 50-metre perimeter, and they really are lethal. And very impressed with young Brian Steins. He continually punches the ball away from the North Melbourne defenders.
So Bergman is the player to bring the ball back into the field. He kicks it high, looking out here for Shannon. In front for North Melbourne was Hilbrick. Now Melbourne get the ball clear. It goes from Capsalis' boot wide towards the wing and just goes over on the full. So the free kick will be taken for North Melbourne down here by Hardwick. Hardwick's kick is in short, and the pass finds O'Donnell. O'Donnell, poor marking there by Sullivan for Melbourne, gives O'Donnell a chance to kick the ball in towards half forward. A little too easy. Under pressure there is Steins, and the umpire will call for a bounce. It's about 40 metres out from the North Melbourne goal.
I think that breeze is a bit deceptive. It's more fluky than favouring an end strongly. So some of those kicks have been off the side of the boot because that breeze has been deceptive.
Ruck contest. Under pressure there was Foot. Tried to get the hand pass out. Now he does. It's intercepted for North Melbourne by Hardwick. Melbourne striving hard across their half-back line. The kick comes from Capsalis close to the boundary line again in front of young Shannon. And the North Melbourne player, Hilbrick, and the free kick will go to North Melbourne to be taken by Hilbrick.
Yeah, tough kicking from this side of the ground into that southerly. Comes to the front of the pack, Sullivan. Excellent mark by Hilbrick on centre wing. 25-point lead to North Melbourne in the second quarter.
And Drew should point there with young Hilbrick. He actually played with the Doveton Seniors in '89 as a 15-year-old, so he's had some senior football experience.
Morrison after his mark, the kick about 30 metres out from goal. Foot gets the hand pass back to Goldberg, and Melbourne out of defence. Morrison, hand pass in, Hardwick up from defence. Centering kick, chance for Lissenden. Nudged out of that. Schwartz is back there for Melbourne. Bounces through the centre. Demons need a goal out of this. But well done by Barwick. Siderellis out to Hopgood. Hopgood cutting them to pieces at the moment. Into Tolra. Inside 50. Back to Hopgood. Shoots for goal. It's close. Didn't quite make it. And touched right on the line. Through for a behind. Martin in defence for North.
Well, Melbourne repelling every North Melbourne attack at the moment. I just wonder how long they can last with this sort of pressure before North Melbourne really start to break through.
North Melbourne got off to a great start, kicking 5 goals to Melbourne's goalless first quarter. So in this second term so far, the Demons have kicked 3, North Melbourne have kicked 2, and North Melbourne still with a handy lead. Nearly a good effort there by Fagan, and he goes after the football again. There's an opportunity now for Schwartz. He collects the ball pretty well, gets the hand pass away to no one in particular. North Melbourne will get clear through Watson. Watson's kick is short, and the mark is taken for Melbourne by Goldberg. He kicks it back in towards the centre. No mark taken there. Trying to crash his way through for Melbourne was Stroud. Defending well for the North Melbourne side is McCarthy. Now Kilpatrick can't get clear. A high tackle, and the North Melbourne player will take the free kick just defensive side of the centre.
Schwartz in a bit of trouble just behind the play, and that's a player Melbourne can't afford to lose. Now here's Capsalis coming out of defence. Wide to centre wing. Hopgood, who starred in the Teal Cup up at Carrara and broke his jaw in the final game against South Australia. Foot's kick. Almost a mark there to Tolra. Comes to the front. Sullivan, Tolra with another chance. Now Stroud's kick, smothered. Puts it up high towards the goal square. Not much distance in the kick. Umpire says play on. And the ball out of play will have a throw in. Now, here's Schwartz, who's bleeding profusely from his nose. And we'll have a look at this. Yep, cop one high.
Oh, just a smidge.
McNamara. Well, he's a player that North Melbourne certainly had to worry about because the centre-half forward had been starring. Here's a chance for Melbourne. Siderellis, number 11. But he's beaten to that one. Melbourne have the numbers. We just can't get a handle on it at the moment, and the umpire's going to ball it up.
See, there was a chance there, Ross, for one of the Melbourne players to do a shepherd. With three of them there, one shepherd and two could have raffled it.
Yeah, terribly intent on getting the football, weren't they? Getting a possession themselves rather than doing the team-oriented thing.
Now Melbourne may get clear here through Lamb. Hand pass Capsalis. He's bumped off the football. Goes back towards Watson. Gets the ball clear to Tarzan. Tarzan's kick is high towards half forward. One-on-one. Was that a little nudge out? For Melbourne there was Fanning. Now North go into attack, into their forward pocket area. They've got three players out in front, and the siren sounds as Anning takes possession of the football to end the second term. And at half-time, North Melbourne have a 24-point advantage. North Melbourne are 7-7-49. Melbourne are 3-7-25.
Well, North Melbourne.
Gary Ablett, Geelong. Mark 2, Troy Ugal, West Coast Eagles. Mark 3, Nicky Widmer, St Kilda. Mark 4, Darren Mullane, Collingwood. Mark 5, Michael Mitchell, Richmond.
So there are the phone numbers, and you can get on the phone right now and ring for 111 for Gary Ablett, 222 for Troy Ugal, and so on down the line. I'd suggest that maybe you jot those numbers down because you can ring any time up until half-time in the seniors. But anyway, it wasn't a big.
Well, of course, it would have been nice, but here I am.
Yeah. Now, what about the under-19s? Now, Ross is very unbiased. North Melbourne going pretty well, and, you know, you weren't very much for them.
No, I wasn't, Drew, but they've had a very good last 7 or 8 years, Drew, as everyone well knows. Dennis Pagan's done a very good job with their 19s players. They had quite a few come through to the scene. Melbourne have come back in a bit, haven't they?
Well, I was just going to say, I thought the Melbourne defence really got on top of the North Melbourne forward line, even though North are leading. I thought the Melbourne defence, led by Brian Steins, the brother of Jimmy, of course, were really, really impressive in that last 20 minutes.
Yes, and their two forwards in Stocker and Solium, the captain Solium kicking goal in that quarter, gave them more of a target by moving around. Plus young Paul Hopgood was quite lively through the centre, running the ball forward and giving his forwards a chance.
I'm sure Solomon impressed all viewers out there with his great leading and ability to be able to spring up and take some very, very good marks.
There's been a number of mistakes made. I mentioned it earlier in the game. So with these younger players, they're so keen to get the football that sometimes their concentration wanes a little. And with that breeze being a little bit fluky and slightly stronger than what you can anticipate being up here, it does make a difficult condition for the players to kick the ball and use the ball correctly.
Yeah, there has been a lot of missed kicking today, but the guys that have been kicking for goals, Stroud in particular there, and
this guy's a beauty, isn't it?
And the young fella there, Goldberg, two great kicks.
Personality of the Year award winner. Where is he? Michael Tuck. Tucky played his first senior game with the Hawthorn Football Club way back in 1972. I finished in 70, so I didn't get a chance to bruise him or put him to sleep for a few minutes, but he has played a total of 405 games. That includes 36 finals matches. Now, we played 50 matches with the Hawthorn Reserves, which is quite unique. He's played in 6 Hawthorn Premiership sides. He's captained the side since 1986 and has never ever won a best and fairest at the Hawthorn Football Club, but he has been runner-up on 6 occasions, and he certainly is a very worthy and proud winner. And Tucky, it gives me great pleasure from one Personality of the Year award winner to another to congratulate you. Welcome to the club. And all the best.
Well, thanks very much for that, Ted. I don't know about personality like you, but I don't think I'll have an ego like you anyway. But the best part about videos and that, you can look back, I nearly forgot how good I was, but at least I can see how good I was. Ted just got to tell everybody because I don't think they had videos in his day. But basically, I'd just like to thank North Melbourne for putting this honour upon me, and I think playing so many games helped to win the award, but it just proves that to everybody out there that doesn't think I've got a personality, I've won this award now so I can show everybody at home. And I'd just like to thank Alan Jeans on his retirement. I'd just like to thank him for his help over the last couple of years. He's been very good at the club. I'd just like to thank my wife very much, Faye, for helping me through the years. And I'd just like to wish the Essendon Collingwood sides best of luck today, because it'll be a very important game for each club, and I think the AFL is probably happy that it's a different side in it this year, so we hope to continue the tradition next year and get a couple more sides in, maybe North Melbourne Hawthorn playing. But anyway, I'd just like to thank you very much, and thanks for the kind words, Ted, and very nerve-wracking up here, but thanks.
And a snap by Sullivan is offline. Gee, had a big chance then from 20 metres out, but couldn't manage it.
So it would have been a good start. That's what the Melbourne coach would have wanted, to get that first goal on the board in this third quarter. There's always a vital quarter, the third. And this is where the Melbourne players must assert their authority on the game if they must get back into it.
Barwick kicks in for North. Siderellis punches for Melbourne. Chance here for Schwartz. Good to see him back in the second half after being belted late in the second quarter. He's had a bit of treatment, and he's a key at centre-half forward for the Demons. In fact, the two centre-half forwards here, really players to look out for, Lissenden and Schwartz. At the moment, the Melbourne man in the ruck. Handball out of defence by McNamara, and the ball out of play for a throw-in. So the Demons in attack and really looking to get the first goal of this third quarter to bring themselves right back into it. Well, McCarthy goes up and punches, gains a few metres, ball back out of bounds.
So the players just inside the 50-metre line for Melbourne. Talking about players of some note, Brian Steins, number 7 for Melbourne, is the brother of Jim Steins. And at half-time, I noticed Jimmy Steins walking off the ground with his young brother. So he's giving him some moral support in this very important day for the younger member of the Steins brothers,
And
Brian Steins.
Sorry, Rob, and like his brother, he's adapted to the Australian rules code very well.
Bit of aggro there from number 15 for North Melbourne, Darren Tarzan. Boundary throw in the left forward pocket for Melbourne. North Melbourne will get out of trouble, but the kick is high, close to the boundary line. No mark taken, still in play. Gathered nicely there for Melbourne by Siderellis. He can't break clear. Now the kick goes forward from young Robbins into the full forward area, and striving hard to take the mark was Schwartz, but it goes over for a boundary throw in. There's the North Melbourne coach, Dennis Pagan, the doyen of youth coaching in Australian rules football. His 8th grand final, the Teal Cup coach for the Victorian Metropolitan in 1989. And the snapshot for goal, that's a mark to North Melbourne, taken in the back pocket by Hardwick. And desperation shown on the face of that young boy. The kick out towards half-back. A Melbourne mark, a clean mark to Foot, who I feel is a reasonably good player. That kick let himself down, collected by Anning. Anning's kick goes wide, and a good mark taken for Melbourne out here by young Robbins. He gets the hand pass away to Foot, and this time, Foot's kick is all right into the full forward area. No mark taken. Number 17 there for Melbourne is Lamb. Now Hopgood can't break clear. North Melbourne may get clear through Morrison. The kick back in towards the centre. There's Foot again. His third possession within 3 minutes. North Melbourne will get clear. The long kick, torpedo, wide towards the wing. The bounce not too favourable here for the Melbourne player in Robbins, but he's able to get his kick away, and it's good. He finds Foot. Foot's kick towards centre half forward. It goes over the top of the players' heads. Now North Melbourne clear. The ball comes out towards number 13 is Morrison. He will collect the football at half back. He can't get clear. The tackle there by Siderellis was a little high. Siderellis goes back and gathers the ball. His kick is off the side of his boot. and it goes over for a free kick to be taken back there for North Melbourne by Hilbrick.
Well, Melbourne continually putting pressure on the North Melbourne defence and look like they're going to break through at any moment.
Foot's had an outstanding quarter so far. Lemon flies for the mark, can't mark. Hardwick for North, back towards centre wing. Did he touch it first? Goldberg? No, the mark not paid. Steins up on centre wing. Shoves out Lissenden. Well, it could have been in the back there to Robbins, but not paid. Comes back to Martin. His kick up towards half forward. Anning goes to ground. Capsalis well played, but Anning came back to get him. His foot again, about 5 kicks already in this third quarter. Well inside half forward. Schwartz, no mark. Comes down to the front. And a snap here by Tolra. Just offline. Well, Melbourne doing all the attacking, but can't get a goal yet.
Gee, the umpires really have let it go. There's been a number of free kicks that they've missed. And again, I wonder whether the instruction is to let it go.
I just think they can get closer to the contest, Ross. They seem to be
are.
about a little bit too far away, not prepared to put themselves right over where the contest is. The kick in has been marked for Melbourne by Neitz. I think the impression he may have spent a bit of time on the interchange bench. Can't recall seeing him in the first half. A tall young man, and a nice looking kick will land in the square. It's still there for the action, and the umpire will call for a bounce. Not really a free kick in that incident. Some good close tackling there by the North Melbourne defenders right in the goal square, so Melbourne a chance to score from here.
Gee, it's a different sort of a game than it was in the first 15 or 20 minutes, though.
Good bounce by the umpire. Tapped out. Oh, a chance for Melbourne. No, it's rushed over for the goal umpire, indicating that it's hit the post, so a behind to the Demons.
Well, with all the play in Melbourne's forward line over the last 5 minutes, it's very, very important that they try and clear the forward line out. It's becoming very, very choked in there at the moment, and not a lot of room for the Melbourne forwards to move into.
Kick in by Barwick. Siderellis over the ball, number 11. Just paddles it out. And eventually the umpire... No, he's going to pay a free kick for a high tackle. It'll go North Melbourne's way, be taken by Watson.
He's got that right thigh heavily strapped. He didn't have it strapped in the first half. Let's hope he's all right.
Watson's kick to centre wing. Oh, excellent mark. Lissenden. Crowd calling for 50 metres there. They reckon he was grabbed round the head after he took that mark. Eric Lissenden. Long kick to centre half forward. Front of the pack. Capsalis hand pass is knocked down by Tarkson. And North Melbourne out of defence. Tolra. Lamb. Melbourne into attack again. A mighty kick by Lamb. A punch out in defence. Stroud after it. Outnumbered 2-1 at ground level. And the North Melbourne defence forced the ball up just outside the 50-metre line, close to the boundary line.
And when that kick from Listener went into the North Melbourne forward line, the half-forward line of North Melbourne had too many spectators, and the Melbourne backman cleared it very quickly, and all of a sudden they got it down on their 50-metre line.
50 metres from goal for the Demons, punched on by Sullivan. Attempted gather there by Stroud, and he didn't really have the football when tackled, so the umpire has awarded that player the free kick just inside 50 metres for the Demons.
And Stroud, normally a very, very long kick, and kicks beautiful drop punch, so this will be very, very close to being a goal, I'd imagine.
Stroud, tall fellow. Kick, slews off the side of his boot. Punched away, now a kick out. Comes from Brown, out wide, Hopgood. Can't quite get there in time, and the ball goes over for a boundary throw-in.
Hey, BT, you're learning. You say something like that in front of a microphone, that's what they do to you.
Well, true, he really let me down there, didn't he? But he is a great kick normally.
There's the score. North Melbourne lead by 21 points. About halfway through this third quarter, Melbourne get the ball up towards the 50-metre line again. Watson gets the ball out to O'Donnell. O'Donnell's kick, disappointing. Kick off the ground there by Tarzan. Comes back towards half forward. Handball there by Lamb. Now Melbourne go into attack. They can't really do much with the football. Hard up against the boundary line, that Melbourne player forced over. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Gee, the boys have got a bit of temperament, haven't they?
I was just going to say, there's normally a lot of, or traditionally a lot of aggression in these types of games, and it's been missing a little bit today, hasn't it?
They're probably just concentrating maybe on getting the football and trying to score goals. so the discipline is not too bad. Now, Watson. A kick for Melbourne up towards their forward pocket area, and it goes over for a boundary throw in that right forward pocket.
And as often happens in grand finals, it can be a bit of a dull affair with both sides really just trying to nullify each other. And there's been very few goals scored since quarter time, other than the 3 by Melbourne in that second quarter, and a couple by North, but it has been a very low scoring game so far.
North out of defence in between half-back and wing. Anning taken high and will take the free kick. Up to half forward, open for North Melbourne here. Well, Lissenden weighted down, and the mark taken by Tolra. Out to the forward pocket. He had options there, and a diving mark by Martin, a Teal Cup representative.
Because as you also find, Drew, in these games, there's a lot of Teal Cup players. Let's hope a number of these players go on and play senior football.
Ashley Martin got plenty of hair. From the pocket, not a bad kick. A great goal.
You can do it with the Q.
Well, within scoring distance, this is Lissenden. Have a look at this kick. Just keep having a look at it because it's missed. Lissenden, big fella. Geez, they always seem to, like each year that I've watched the under-19s, North Melbourne have always had 3 or 4 tall, athletic, good-looking prospects.
And Brian, it's amazing really when you get a number of, there's a bit on behind the play. You saw that, but I noticed in my first couple of years at North Melbourne particularly, Brian, that the under-19s players were very tall, and I felt very much a mid-sized player. There's some big young kids coming through, isn't there?
There certainly are, and they're all very, very well built, as they're now doing a lot of gymnasium work as well, where they never used to.
Robbins kicks Melbourne up into their forward half, and it goes over for a boundary throw in quite near the 50-metre line, so Melbourne into attack.
And yet the under-19 premierships at North Melbourne have produced a lot of league players, but many of the smaller blokes, because there's Matthew Larkins come out of here, Wayne Schwass, Jose Romero, have all gone on to play a lot of league football.
And of course there's Craig Scholl, who's currently representing the North Seniors, and he has his brother Brad playing, and also his cousin Brett, who's the captain of the North under-19s.
Now Melbourne, who did all the attacking for the first 5 minutes and couldn't manage a goal, then conceded one up the other end, and they get one out of this. Pretty congested in there. Out of defence comes Hardwick. Theodore overruns it. Paddle forward by Solium, off the ground by Schwartz. Hardwick again. No distance with his kick. The whistle's gone. Hardwick put down after he got rid of that one, and it'll be a North Melbourne free kick. And relayed to Clinton Watson. He comes out wide to Brett Scholl. North finding space, and further up the ground, Brown. 8-8 to 3-10 North lead. Kicked by Brown. Lissenden is there. Oh, good mark.
Well,
such
new forwards, key forwards here, Brian Taylor and Ross Glendenning. That young Melbourne player made a terrible mistake then, didn't he?
Yes, he did, and just look at this here. Again, Lissenden just far too tall, isn't he, Brian? And in this size, he should have been a punch behind, definitely.
Kicking from 48 metres. Plenty of distance, no accuracy. Through for nothing. Out of bounds on the full.
Well, it's certainly a rule by all clubs these days that any defender must punch when behind, and that was a bad mistake there by the Melbourne defender.
And that's out without being touched. It wasn't a kick in, it was a free kick on the bounce out. So we'll have a throw in about 65 metres out from goal. And North back into attack. They lead 56 to 28, so they've doubled the Demons' score. Here's Watson, loses control of it this time. Hand pass forward, but all Melbourne. Hopgood met by Watson and taken out of bounds.
So the Melbourne coaching area there, that's their general manager Tony King in the background. Boundary throw in, right half forward for North Melbourne. They'll go into attack. No, they won't. It was Hardwick's kick that was smothered. Now a little tap out comes to Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick's kick into the forward pocket, and it's taken over there by the Melbourne player Bergman for a boundary throw in. It's in the right forward pocket for North Melbourne, an opportunity for them to add to their score of 8 at the moment. A big tap there by Fanning. Back into the back pocket, Melbourne under pressure. And of course the kick, an indiscriminate kick, and the mark taken by Morrison. Morrison for North Melbourne. Kick up towards the front of the goal square. No mark paid. Coming clear was Steins. His handball goes towards the boundary line, and the central umpire asks for a boundary throw-in.
Gee, is he like his brother?
Yes, he's been the backbone of that defence today, Drew. There's no doubt, Brian Steins.
Ruck contest. Opportunity now for Mackay. Mackay's kick goes high. The mark is taken by Foot. Foot. High kick. Wide. Hopgood. Beaten for it. Oh, there could be nearly a free kick to the North Melbourne player against Hopgood. And it will go to McNamara. McNamara is between wing and half forward. His kick is to within goal scoring distance, and a lovely mark taken for North Melbourne by Fagan, who is a tall, very big young boy, 195 centimetres and 95 kilos, and he stood his ground well there to take that mark.
Yes, and young David Neitz not coming back with the flight of the ball strongly enough, allowing Fagan to take that mark.
He was under great pressure there as well, a few guys jumping into his back.
A hairstyle made famous by Darren Wheeldon from Fitzroy is Daniel Fagan, and the kick-off line is through for a behind. 1990s. What happened to that one with you, BT? Not keen on that hairstyle?
Well, certainly not. It's not my go, Robbo, but something similar would be recommended, I'd imagine.
The mark is taken at half-back by Fanning for Melbourne.
Low-scoring third quarter. Just one goal so far to North Melbourne. And here's a mark to Theodore just behind centre wing.
It's a good strong mark too by young Simon Theodore.
His kick up towards half forward. Big climb. And down at the back is McNamara. Oh, courageous mark taken there. That's an absolute beauty by O'Donnell. But Melbourne have blocked up North flowing play in this quarter and are lucky that they haven't scored a goal themselves. Here's a chance for North with Anning. Runs away from Schwartz, approaches 50. Kick-off line, and Bergman drops back to take the mark. Now they've got some space at centre half back. Capsalis had time to drop the mark. He's left-footed to centre wing. Chance here for Melbourne, or bad bounce. That was unlucky for McCarthy. Might have another go. Hardwick. And the ball out of play, just forward of centre wing for the Demons. Certainly going better in this quarter, but getting nothing for their efforts.
You find just there, Brian, that the players didn't quite read the bounce of the ball.
Well, certainly. I'm not sure whether it's because of the wind conditions as well, but certainly very confusing out there for the players. The turf, although it looks quite good on television, it may be a little bit rough.
Again, Melbourne, this time through Hopgood. Unable to control the football there was Lamb. The kick goes to full forward, and the mark is taken for Melbourne there by Stroud. Now, Stroud, you've got 20 cents in your pocket now, Brian.
Well, I'm not going to back him to win this one, but he is a bit closer and the angle's a lot lesser, so he's kicking just about from dead in front, about 35 to 40 metres out.
Well, Melbourne desperately need a goal. They trail 8-9 to 3-10, and Stroud's kick is long enough, but just offline and through for another behind. So their scoreboard not looking all that good. 3-11, North 8-9.
Well, Ross, both sides squandering opportunities at goal.
It's a shame because both backs are working hard to get the ball forward, but their kicking in front of goal has let them down. There's no doubt about that.
Kicking goes to half back. Watson beaten for it by Foot. Schwartz is in there. Now Watson, good play, went in after it again. His kick is smothered off the boot, and it goes over for a boundary throw in about 60 metres from the Melbourne goal. And they desperately need to score 2 or 3 quick goals to give themselves a chance in the last quarter, because this is a do or die premiership at stake. Melbourne and North Melbourne in the grand final of the under-19s.
And an excellent mark taken by Venner, who's the younger brother of Stephen Venner, who's played league footy. Goes out with his hand pass to Barwick, back to Venner. And North working it well out of defence. Well, he's the best man on the ground, Watson. Up to centre wing. Kilpatrick takes the mark. Three-quarter distance kick. Morrison. Theodore made a great contest of that. Scholl loses possession. Comes to Capsalis. Now a chance for Melbourne to go straight up the middle. Bit of space here. Hopgood. Goldberg up from the back pocket. Poor old kick off the left foot. Oh, luckily comes North's way to O'Donnell. High kick to centre half forward. Lissenden is there, but Bergman came up from defence to take a good chest mark. Look, smothered by the man on the mark, Mackay. Now a chance for Mackay, the full forward. Yes, a few players slipping to the turf. Drives it long to the goal square, 2 against 2. Steins bottles it up, and there'll be a ball up just on the edge of the square.
Drew, there's always one thing that junior coaches used to throttle me and many other players about. One of the cardinal sins is kicking to the man on the mark. You should never really do it. You should go back far enough to give yourself a chance.
Bounce just outside the North Melbourne goal. Lissenden's kick gathered nicely there by Capsalis. Capsalis goes long into a vacant area, wide at half back. Running onto it for Melbourne was Neitz. Neitz's kick towards the wing. No mark taken. Stocker can't control the football, and it goes over for a boundary throw-in. So it's just forward of the centre wing area in Melbourne's forward half. And big Anthony Stocker, he's 205 centimetres from St Kilda City and only 18 years of age. Up over the top with Soliom. Now Melbourne go forward. It's Siderellis in towards the full forward area. Opportunity for Shannon. Must collect this football. He's got 2 metres on his opponent. Now the North Melbourne player there was Barwick, and he does it reasonably well and eventually gets a free kick. And I think that Shannon would be disappointed with his efforts there. The kick goes in short, and the mark is taken there for North Melbourne by Brown. He in turn quickly moves the ball on. Mark taken by Tolra. He's got plenty of space, so he kicks it long towards centre half forward, looking for Lissenden, and it was written all over him, Eric Lissenden, not Tom Sherrin, and it was a good mark right on the 50-metre line. Good stats there from a centre half forward. Lovely long kick right into the goal area, and it hits the post. So that would have been goal of the day so far if it had gone through.
Great young mark, Lissenden, and notice taken 8 marks today, and his hands are really like a vice grip, aren't they, Ross? Yeah,
great play to have there at centre half forward for a key play, almost like a Stuart Lowe.
Bergman in for Melbourne. Ball socket away and out of bounds at half back.
It's good to see young players coming through and performing well at centre half forward, that most difficult position. It's one team, as was one place in the team where most coaches love to have a vital player there, and they're so hard to come by that if a player like Lissenden can go on, it'd be a great asset for North Melbourne.
Just 1 goal in this quarter, 1 goal, 3 to North, 4 behinds to Melbourne. Here's Anning. Good kick with the breeze from there. Mackay underneath the ball, and the mark is taken in defence by Fanning. Ruckman dropping back in defence. Foot had an outstanding quarter. Up towards centre wing. Siderellis, no, it was Stocker dragged down. Comes to Robbins. Robbins going on a long run. Drives it to full forward, a chance here. Stroud, number 27. But the defence did pretty well to tie that ball up. Lemon, and that'll be a ball up. There's the skipper for North Melbourne, Brett Scholl. Now a chance for Melbourne to get their first goal for the quarter, would you believe it, after they've been down here so often. Actually, they've played 3 finals prior to today, and Melbourne started the final series with some pretty high scores. 23 goals they kicked in the elimination against Hawthorn and 17 in the first semi to beat Carlton. But they won the preliminary final, kicking just 15 goals with a kick on the siren to win by 3 points. The Demons. It was out of defence by McNamara up near centre wing. Steins near the centre of the ground. Schwartz got a bit of time. He'll need it. Fanning comes to him. Well played by Schwartz up to Neitz. And this time the mark taken right in front by Lamb. And the little rover has a chance to get the Demons' first goal for the quarter. And even though it's 58 to 29, maybe that'll give them a bit of confidence to go on. They can finish the quarter with 2 or 3, it'll be handy. Breeze brings it back, but not enough. Well, that's 5 behinds for the term, and it's pretty hard to win grand finals with kicking like that.
Well, another vital opportunity missed there by Melbourne, and both sides playing a nullifying game at the moment, not giving each other much room to move.
Kick in. North Melbourne high towards the wing. Oh, what a grab. Mark of the day for Melbourne, taken by Jamie Solium, 19 years of age. He goes for the torpedo punt kick. It doesn't quite work. In towards centre half forward. North Melbourne defence under pressure again. Opportunity for them to get clear. The kick comes out towards the wing. Now a good gather for North Melbourne by Martin Bainon. He gets it to Watson. Watson's kick towards full forward. 1-on-1. No mark taken. Good recovery for North Melbourne by Martin, Ashley Martin. And the kick astray. Look at this one.
Which is a good mark, isn't it?
Terrific mark.
Well, I've been really impressed with the aerial display from both sides today. There's been some great marks out there.
So Melbourne will kick the ball back into play. Steins can't quite do much with the football there. And according to the boundary umpire, it came off his boot on the full. So the free kick will go to Lissenden, the North Melbourne centre half forward. Lissenden, who kicks the ball nicely up towards full forward, and it's a North Melbourne mark taken by Ashley Martin.
Well, great body positioning there, Ross. Something that the big fellas are very, very good at, especially these North Melbourne forwards.
Yes, and kicking up that into the ground too, with the breeze favouring the other end. He got in front of the ball, just dropping short, and did the right thing for a forward.
So the shot for goal from Martin is only about 30 metres out directly in front. He runs fairly close to the man on the mark, but the goal umpire's happy, so it's through for a goal to North Melbourne, and that's their 9th. North Melbourne 9-10, and Melbourne are 3-12.
That's Ashley Martin's second goal in this quarter, and that goal really is going to put a real damper on Melbourne's efforts. They've gone forward quite often, Brian, haven't they? As we said, their kicking really has been very poor. Perhaps we're being a bit harsh on, but that breeze obviously is very difficult. Their disposal should have been better, shouldn't it?
They certainly have, and the enthusiasm definitely seems to have slowed down a bit in the Melbourne camp after that goal, and prior to that goal as well.
Back in the middle, and Martin has kicked the only 2 goals for the quarter. Melbourne forward, up towards half forward. Lamb tries to punch on, but North bring it out of defence. Good running by Barwick. Long kick to centre half forward. Martin Bainon gets underneath the ball. Morrison on the 50. He's kicked to the edge of the goal square. And the siren went. And that is 3-quarter time. Well, it finished up being a pretty scrappy quarter with just 2 goals kicked. Both
To start this last term with North Melbourne, a handy lead and a good bounce. Punched forward again, this time up towards Melbourne's half-forward line. The hand pass came from Hopgood. Now Melbourne go forward through Robbins, and the kick wide into the forward pocket area goes over for a boundary throw-in. It's well within scoring distance, so if they're going to get some sort of impetus, they need to kick a goal out of this forward move. Oh, there's a free kick, could be to Melbourne. No, it's going to North Melbourne, and it'll go to their ruckman, Daniel Fagan.
Well, Melbourne need aggression, but not that sort of aggression.
Fagan's kicked from the back pocket, high towards centre wing. No mark taken. Robbins once again, kick towards half forward. Shannon, left foot kick by that player into the full forward area. No mark taken there by Siderellis. Getting back quickly for North Melbourne was McNamara, and he taps the ball over for a boundary throw-in in the left forward pocket for the Demons. So they desperately need to score a goal quickly to give the boys a little bit of impetus here at the start of this last quarter.
Solium went up for Melbourne. Comes down to Scholl. He gets the hand pass away to Barwick. Kick to centre of the ground. Bergman, well done. Back to centre half forward. Here's Robbins, who's had a couple of kicks early in this last quarter. Sprint on with his opponent. His opponent wins. Brown. Brown into Watson. Over the top. North Melbourne starting to cut them up again. Bradshaw to full forward. Martin went to full forward in the 3rd quarter, replacing Mackay, but this time is easily outmarked by Bergman. Back to the centre of the ground. All North. Easy mark taken by Hilbrick. Looks pretty much like another under-19s flag to North. Hilbrick's kick to centre half forward. Diving mark by Martin, right on the 50. But he's a long way out. Breeze right to left. Goes for the torpedo. A low zooming kick. Out of defence by Theodore. Leading the chase, Anning. Martin Bainan, but gave it straight away to Capsalis. Sweeps the hand pass up the ground, and that's good team play by Melbourne. And Foot got it across to Hopgood. Over centre wing. Melbourne needs something here. There's a bit of a chance. Aubrey approaches the 50. Off the left boot. Centering kick. Oh, what a mark. Sensational mark taken by John McNamara.
John McNamara, 17 years of age from Port Fairy. The kick in short, if that wasn't a mark, it certainly would have been a free kick. And it'll go to the North Melbourne player in Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick's kick, he's got 3 players on their own wide on the wing. They're going to raffle it, and eventually they'll get clear through O'Donnell. O'Donnell's kick in short. Opportunity now for Morrison. Morrison leaves it for Watson. He's 28th possession, Watson, the Morris medal winner. Melbourne get clear from half back. The kick in towards the centre. It bounces out in front of Soliom. Melbourne striving hard to get through this strong North Melbourne defence. Shannon gives it to the second option, Saliom. Saliom's short pass is okay, and the mark is taken at half forward by Aubrey. Only 16 years of age, this boy, and the kick is not bad. It is very close, and it's touched right on the line. And through for a behind to Melbourne.
This is what we need to see from the Melbourne side. A bit of enthusiastic running at the ball and make it look like they really are part of this game, which has been missing for the last quarter and a half.
Barwick with the kick in. Towards the outer side, Venner pulled down before the ball arrived. No free kick for that. Hopgood. Fumble there by Theodore, but he's got support from Siderellis. And Stocker. Stocker off the left to centre half forward, and Scholl is there to mark in defence. He was kicking goals earlier on, now back in the back line. To O'Donnell. Bounces forward for North. Lissenden with Bergman. Well, no whistle for that. Interesting to see how the umpire was going to rule on that one. Bergman. Stroud gets it up to Stocker. Stroud just back on the ground. But North Melbourne through Kilpatrick. Martin Bainan caught in a great tackle, but could have been in the back. And the North player will take the free kick. Travis Martin Bainan. Short pass, pinpoint, and the mark taken by Scholl. 2 cousins on the ground at the moment. And Brad Scholl, who comes from Horsham, spent most of the early part of the game on the bench. And that's his first mark.
It's going to be a tough kick, Drew, kicking from about 52 metres out with a bit of a wind.
Need to aim at about the right goalpost. He's aimed too far right, got the distance okay. Through 4 behind.
Drew, you can't help but thinking there was a mark drop by Siderellis early, about 2 or 3 minutes ago, where he had the sit. The ball was brought down by Shannon, and a good forward move by Melbourne. He dropped the mark. He really chastised himself, and Melbourne haven't scored and are finding it very difficult to get back again. If they had taken that mark kick to goal, it would have given that impetus to them. They might have got back into this game.
Now North go back into attack through Lissenden, up towards full forward. Lemon can't get clear. Martin gets it out to Martin Bainan, and Martin Bainan kicks the goal.
You can do it with the...
A handball over the top, and he was nearly going to get the ball back again, but a free kick will go at centre half forward for North Melbourne to be taken by Hilbrick.
Well, a silly tackle there from Theodore, who was the last year's Scotch College football captain. A very, very unnecessary tackle.
Actually, it's Morrison with the football for North Melbourne. He goes for the torpedo punt kick, and it's effective. Goes right up to the goal line. Melbourne defence under pressure. Steins is in there, and Martin for North Melbourne, and the umpire will call for a bounce. There's young Watson, the Morris medal winner, with his right thigh very heavily strapped. He came down just a few seconds ago from a pretty tough clash. Now Robbins kicks the ball out for Melbourne, out towards half back. A free kick has been picked out of it. It's going to Brown for North Melbourne, and he'll kick the Kangaroos back into attack.
Good effort into the breeze from this side of the ground. But Stein stacks a good mark on the edge of the goal square.
So he's done well, Drew. He really has battled the odds, but he stood up very well.
Brian Steins out of defence. Solium can't take the mark. Martin Bainan back to Fagan. Hardwick. And good movement of the ball by North Melbourne. On the run is McCarthy. Long kick, makes it. Great goal.
Young North Melbourne player there,
Brad
Scholl, in the hands of the trainers. Nearly a mark there up at full forward. Kick out by Bergman. And it's close to the line and goes over.
Well, North Melbourne have that winner's spring in their legs now, don't they? They really look like they're going to go on with it.
77-31. Hopgood, who was best in the Teal Cup up at Carrara, but got a broken jaw for his troubles. And that's a good mark by O'Donnell, and a 50-metre penalty. And that'll bring him right up to the 50-metre line or inside.
Is that the sort of thing that you fellas were talking about before, about young players learning that that's just not on? When a fella takes a mark, you can't jump into his back like that?
Particularly if it's so unnecessary, Brian, I mean, that gained nothing for inside. And look at this, as it turns out, they're penalised by an extra 50 metres and could be a goal. So
well, the only result from that is a Melbourne loss. There's no way they can get back into this game now, especially after that incident. Could cost them the grand final.
And there's no doubt too, Ian, that the senior coaches look for disciplined players, and that's undisciplined play, and it wouldn't have done his prospects any good whatsoever.
So Chris O'Donnell, man on the marks now, only about 30 metres out. O'Donnell from right in front. It comes back with the breeze, and through it goes for a goal.
Ever since we've redesigned our service stations worldwide, something's happened. Millions of new customers have switched to BP. But more than just a shiny new station, these drivers have discovered BP's advanced fuels and oils for optimum engine performance and the convenience of BP's car washes and shops. So you see, our new green stations brought them in. But it's everything else we do that's bringing them back. BP, on the move.
So a free kick from the centre bounce where there were too many North Melbourne players in the square. It went to Stocker, and here's a Tiggy Touchwood free kick given at half forward to Melbourne to be taken by Danny McCarthy, and it's a chance for him to kick Melbourne's fourth goal. They kicked 3 in the second quarter, fairly quickly in the second quarter too, from memory. So it's nearly 2 quarters since they've kicked a goal. McCarthy, left foot kick, just slews off the side of his boot, but a mark is taken in the full forward line, and it looks like young David Neitz, who was recruited to Melbourne from Parkmore, and this boy is only 15 years of age, Ross.
It's a good mark for a young fellow. He's got plenty of height, good judgment as well, good clean hands too, Brian, wasn't he? Took that very well.
An excellently judged mark there, Ross, and his height no doubt helped him in that one.
So Neitz from point blank range, and he's popped it through for Melbourne's fourth goal. A good effort there by the 190 centimetre 15-year-old David Neitz to kick the Demons fourth.
And he's obviously a likely prospect. He has played Teal Cup football. We'll see this again on replay. A very fine mark, and as Brian said, judged that very, very well.
Of course, he was up against Chris O'Donnell there, who does lack the height to take on those big fellas.
So we'll have the bounce back in the centre. There's the scoreboard. North Melbourne leading by just under 8 goals. They'll get the ball clear again. This time it's Kilpatrick. It's the handball over, and it goes further forward. Bergman's under pressure. Lissenden there, but Bergman does it pretty well. Eventually gets his foot to the ball and gathers about 35 metres. A chance there for Aubrey. Gets the hand pass away, but it goes over for a boundary throw-in. And North Melbourne, well, they've always looked composed right from the start. When they kicked 5 goals to nothing in the first quarter, when I say 5 goals to nothing, Melbourne were goalless. They kicked 3 behinds, but from there on, Drew, it's been a pretty good effort by North Melbourne, particularly from their defence.
Yes, certainly has. Here's Tarkson up to half forward, and Bergman beats Lissenden. And Lissenden hasn't had quite the impact on the game. It's going to be a free kick to Lissenden. quite the same impact, well, not nearly the same impact as in the second semi-final when he kicked 9 goals. Kicked just 1 today.
Gee, this Lissonden's a great mover, Drew.
He's a very likely prospect, he really is.
He didn't get a lot of distance with that one. Good discipline punching away from behind by Lemon. Martin Bainan gets the hand pass out. It's flipped further out. Defensive kick for Melbourne back towards the centre of the ground. O'Donnell's had plenty of the ball. His left footer well inside half forward. 2-1 Melbourne, and the defensive mark is taken by Theodore. Centre wing they gather. 3 North players going up. Don't know whether you had first touch, son. Anyway, paid to Venner. Gets it across to Hardwick. Lemon punches from behind. Goldberg is there, number 3. Come back to him. And eventually the umpire will ball it up.
A great example of how to punch from behind there from young Lemon. Flew up, nothing was a problem, and just flew over the pack, and a very, very strong punch forward.
Actually, talking about discipline, Mark Cross, the coach of the Melbourne under-19s, also coach of the Melbourne Reserves, didn't waste any time in whipping young Wayne Lamb off for the indiscretion that led to the last North Melbourne goal. And here's another goal to North Melbourne coming up from Lissenden.
Telecast via satellite around.
Well, North, this is their 4th straight grand final. They lost last year to Richmond after they thumped them in the second semi-final. So it was a bit of a surprise that Richmond beat them last year for the big one. Out of defence, Hardwick. Shannon almost the mark. Solium. But good defensive play by McCarthy. Well, I thought he was gone, Watson, a little bit earlier, but he just keeps on getting the ball. Out of defence by Bergman. Aubrey, good pick-up. And the hand pass to Hopgood. This is promising here. Stroud goes inside 50. From right in front, goes for goal and kicks a beauty. That's 2 for Stroud. Way too late for the Demons.
Yes, he had some wayward kicking early in the game. He's tidied up with that one, but a belated goal to Melbourne. They really have struggled very hard, Brian, haven't they? They just had nothing up forward. Their disposal really has been nowhere near as good as North Melbourne's, has it?
They have, and a great balk there by Stroud as well to get around the North Melbourne opponent, and kick was what was a very, very good goal from about 45 metres out on the run.
Unusual Christian name there. Guyan Stroud. Bounce. Shannon tries to get the hand pass away. Good interception there by Hilbrick. Hilbrick's kick in towards half forward. And this looks like Martin Bainan. Kick into Watson. Watson nearly 30 possessions to the Morris medal winner. Here's a goal, another one North through Martin. So Martin gets his 3rd goal, and North Melbourne have all the answers. They get their 14th. North Melbourne 14-11-95, and Melbourne are 5-13-43.
And the experience really is showing, and again there we have Watson just putting that ball forward with Martin finishing off. But they've got a number of players who've played in either 2 or 3 grand finals, and a player, for instance, like Tarzan, last year was best on ground in the grand final here with the under-19s with 35 possessions, and that sort of experience you just can't buy.
Back in the middle, Venner wins the tap for North. And keeps on going with it, number 25. Up to centre half forward. And Bergman's done pretty well since he came out onto Lissenden. Bergman's kick to half-back flank. And the mark taken by Robbins. Oh, that hand pass intercepted. Clever football down there by McCarthy, and he's found teammate Brown. Off with the hand pass. Here he goes again, Watson. Up to Martin Bainan. The tackler comes, Theodore. He did well. Well played it. Looked all over a goal. And then kicked the ball out of bounds on the full. And guess who's to take the free kick? Well, it's not going to be Watson. And the ball comes up to Morrison. But Watson now is up to 31 possessions. 17 kicks, 14 handballs. Morrison's kick, a beauty into the wind. How about that?
Spend a spectacular grand final night tonight on 7. At 6:30, Colleen Hewitt joins Celebrity Family Feud, followed by Agro, Pat Cat and Robert Dipia Domenico in Celebrity Wheel of Fortune. At 7:30, a Riders comedy premiere starring Elizabeth Shue of Cocktail. A day off with Ferris Bueller Has Nothing On, A Night on the Town. Then at 9:30, the AFL Grand Final wrap-up and replay. A spectacular Grand Final night tonight, only on 7.
So Watson with 17 kicks and 14 hand passes, and Lissenden with 19 kicks and 2 hand passes. Very much the keys in this North Melbourne under-19 performance. Chance now for Melbourne to go forward through Sullivan, but the kick is astray and it's out of bounds on the full, so the free kick to be taken back there for North Melbourne by McNamara. McNamara, who took an absolute screamer earlier in this quarter. His drop punt kick outside 50 metres, no mark taken. Aubrey, well tackled, no way known he was going anywhere. And the umpire calls for a bounce right on the 50-metre line. So we've played 20 minutes of this last quarter, and just the formality of going through the motions now for the last 8 or 9 minutes, and North Melbourne will win the under-19s grand final. Punch on by Shannon, being held for North Melbourne in that back line was Hardwick, but the umpire allowed the play to go on and the ball is forced over for a boundary throw-in. Right forward pocket for Melbourne, a chance for them to score. Big pack of players going for the ruck contest. North Melbourne will come out of it through Brown. Brown's kick up towards Lissenden. He could have nearly gathered that ball, but he tapped it on. Now a chance for Martin Bainan. One bounce, he goes for goal. The long kick up towards the front of the square. Getting back as Steins. Steins' kick high towards half-back, and who's there? That man. He's taken mark after mark, and that's his 9th. Coming up for kick number 20, Eric Lissenden. Long kick to the front of the square. No one can take the mark. A kick out by Morrison, and it's bounced through. No, it hasn't. It just misses to the right, and through 4A behind to North Melbourne.
Well, what do you do in this situation, Ross, where you're facing certain defeat? How do you go about it?
Well, I think all you've got to do, as you mentioned, Brian, is just tidy up and play one-on-one and try and get some respectability back in your team's game. If you can just nullify your own opponent and your teammates do the same thing all around the ground, you're bound to do better than what Melbourne are doing at the moment.
Stroud going for a bit of a run from half-back, centering kick. McCarthy marks centre of the ground, and the ball comes into Foot, who had a great third quarter, a bit quieter in this last. Here's McCarthy, number 8. Number 21, McNamara, and the ball out of play. Well, this will be a great win for North Melbourne. They finished 3rd at the end of the home and away season. They had the best percentage, and they knocked off Carlton in the qualifying final. Carlton had finished 2nd, and in the second semi, they beat the minor premiers Essendon by 87 points. So they've really finished the season well, North Melbourne, to win their 3rd flag in 4 years. Here's a chance for Solium. Just gets boot to ball. McCarthy's up there. The ball bounces on its end straight back away from him and gave the North defender Scholl a chance to get back. McCarthy took the ball out before he had a shot for goal, and there'll be a throw-in in the forward pocket.
Not much cohesion there for the Demons. Certainly North Melbourne have had the big winners on the day, mentioning Watson, Lissenden, Kilpatrick, McNamara. Gee, they've had some good players. Very, very steady and very capable youngsters. Venner over the top, big punch, goes back over the boundary line for another throw-in. So just a matter of minutes left. Hardwick's been a good player too, 13 kicks and 6 hand passes for North Melbourne. And in the left forward pocket for the Demons, Stocker, Venner, Scholl. He always looks as though he's got heaps of time, and that's a sign of a good player. Scholl's kick towards the wing, punched away. Over the top there was Theodore, pulled off the football. Now a chance for Big Stocker. He gets it back to Lemon. Lemon's long drop punt kick in towards centre half forward. No mark taken, but North Melbourne may get clear and held by the leg. Now the advantage rule is paid, so North get well out of defence, and they'll go into attack now. Martin Bainan took his eyes off the football, has plenty of time to gather and around onto the right foot, kicks it towards centre half forward, and that should be a Melbourne mark to the man in front. And that player for Melbourne is Robbins. Gets the handball away to Bergman. Bergman's kick, and Shannon, oh, he takes a good mark in the finish. Looked as though he was going to come up a little short, but there's the boys having a little afternoon tea party behind the play there. The ball goes towards the wing. No mark taken. Fed back. Number 24 for North Melbourne is Fagan, the big ruckman. Now North, they can't quite gather that football. Now Melbourne will get clear. Goldberg, kick towards half forward. Oh, it goes over half forward, and getting back, taking a good mark is McNamara. And I'd tip him as a certainty for the seniors in the next year or so as John McNamara. The kick for North Melbourne up towards centre wing. Over the top of the players' heads, close to the boundary line. Melbourne players looking a little tired, which when you're losing can certainly be the case. Now North Melbourne go forward. Opportunity for Hilbrick. Hilbrick goes off to Barwick. Barwick's short pass is effective and the mark is taken by Watson. Unselfishly, Watson over the top, and the mark is taken there for North Melbourne by Tarzan.
Which is well spotted too. They set that up very well, but as Brian mentioned before, North Melbourne had the spring in their legs, even though they'd be tired, knowing that they've got this game wrapped up. And with Melbourne just chasing backsides for the last half, if not for the whole game, they really have found it difficult.
So Tarzan right in front, going for goal from about 30 metres and bangs it through.
A half-caste Aboriginal falls in love.
4 minutes remaining in the under-19s grand final. Solium for Melbourne. McCarthy number 8. And the ball out of play. And the North Melbourne players already looking pretty pleased with themselves, and many of them of their number will be in well, a multiple premiership team. McCarthy tries to help it closer to goal. O'Donnell with a little tap. It was clever. Across to Scholl. Scholl, a long kick out of defence, just short of centre wing. Knocked on by Fagan. Here's Watson again. Well, he didn't have that when he was tackled once, twice, and maybe 3 times. Theodore, and the ball out of play.
I agree with you. Amazing. I thought he played that pretty well, looking for maybe the advantage of an umpiring decision, but not to be.
In the closing minutes now, and Fagan with the good haircut against Schwartz. There's a chance. Theodore comes into Goldberg. Here's kick just short of full forward. Solium in front, can't take the mark. Bursting out of defence is McCarthy. All North Melbourne here, big chance. Paul Brown on centre wing. His man Hopgood gets there to close the gap, but Brown short passes. Tarzan comes out from half forward but can't take the mark. Robbins slides across the hand pass, and Melbourne out through foot. Now Aubrey. Aubrey to full forward. McCarthy. Not quite. Well, the North defence, their forwards, everybody is team well here. Once again, a defensive kick out by McCarthy. Aubrey on the turn. McCarthy can't take this mark. The hand pass comes into the goal square. Melbourne's McCarthy shoots for goal. The left footer is touched off the boot. Behind. That is Danny McCarthy. 16-12 to 5-14, under 2 minutes left.
And when you look at the possession rate, sorry, there, North Melbourne had nearly 50 more kicks than Melbourne, so they really have dominated this game.
It's been a disappointing end of the season for the Melbourne under-19s, who were quite courageous in their previous finals appearances. And even at quarter time, you could see that North had set the match up in the first quarter, kicking 5 goals to Melbourne's goalless first term. And still North Melbourne not giving up. Lissenden attempted kick from mid-air. Steins defending grandly for the Demons and takes it over for a boundary throw-in.
Robbo, it shows you how hard it is coming through the elimination final.
Most definitely, Drew. I think that we've always had doubts since the 5 has been introduced, that the team that can get to the grand final from the elimination, certainly it's a big job to keep going in the grand final itself. Shannon gets possession. Sweeping hand pass. Now the Demons, can they mount something here in the dying seconds of the game? Hopgood over the top. Hand pass comes back from Solium to Hopgood. Hopgood approaching 50. Short pass goes back to foot. It slips through his fingers. Martin Bainan goes back to Kilpatrick. Kilpatrick to Brown, and Brown's kick is wide. Half-forward flank for North Melbourne. We've got just 20 seconds left in the match, and the ball goes over for a boundary throw-in. So the ruck contest from this boundary throw-in could be the last passage of play in the 1990 season for the under-19s. North Melbourne leading comfortably. They're 16-12. Melbourne are 5-14. The ruck contest, number 28 for Melbourne is Schwartz. North Melbourne, there's the siren. And North Melbourne are premiers in the under-19s for season 1990.
Well, they've had plenty of premiership experience in the junior grades at North Melbourne in recent years. That's their 4th flag in the under-19s in 7 years since Dennis Pagan has been there as coach. So another feather in the coaching cap of Dennis Pagan. What a job he's done with these youngsters. There's Dennis Pagan up there in the white shirt and the tie. And a proud man he'd be, because it's been a huge victory. Margin of 64 points by the end. 16-12, 108 to 5 goals, 14, 44. And a delight on these youngsters' faces. Just going through some of the goal kickers. North Melbourne skipper Brett Scholl. So North Melbourne getting their 3rd premiership in the under-19s in the last 4 years, and that's 4 in 7 years. And I think we'll hear a lot of these youngsters in the future who'll probably work their way up to senior grades, like some of their predecessors from Melbourne under-19s team, like the current club captain Matthew Larkin, who's come up through under-19s premierships in the past.
Yeah, it's very important, Drew, that a lot of these players do come through, and with the respective coaches, both Mark Cross and Dennis Pagan, they would be hoping that a lot of these players would go on. There's quite a few of them have played reserves football, for instance, this year. So the next step, of course, is for them to go into the senior side, and North Melbourne's certainly been prepared to play the younger players. And Brian, it's a good chance for him, isn't it, to get this experience on a day like today?
It certainly is a very big occasion for him. And the player that really impressed me was the North Melbourne centre-half forward, number 31, Eric Listenden. He was an absolutely fantastic player and undoubtedly a player of the future. Reminds me much of Dermot Burke.
Lost one already, and their coach Mark Cross has got to come out and now coach the reserves in the grand final against Carlton. That game scheduled to get underway in a few minutes here, and of course the seniors underway at 2:30 this afternoon. We hope you stay with 7 Sport for the whole afternoon. It should be great viewing here on 7 Sport from the MCG. Congratulations to North Melbourne and Dennis Pagan in the under-19s.